My name is Amber Jensen, like she said. I am running for Senate District 27 state senator, and I decided to run because I feel like I can have a voice for this part of the state. I have the youth, the passion, and the intestinal fortitude to take all these large interest groups on and make a difference and bring our state back to a viable place. There have been times in our past when we've been on top of things. We've had great education and great healthcare, and lately not so much. Our budget is the number one thing that is causing a lot of these issues, and so the three things that I'm most concerned with while running for senator, the three conversations that I want to keep talking about is our state budget, our public education, and healthcare. Because if you're not educated and healthy, you can't be a viable part of very much of life. You guys are my first group of people to talk to, so I appreciate your grace as I stammer a little bit. As far as public education, I'm friends with a lot of public school teachers and administrators and counselors and people of all walks of the public education sphere, and the consensus between all of them is that we are failing our children by not properly funding them. We have to fund the teachers so that we can recruit and maintain quality educators and administrators. We have to fund the classrooms so that they can have up-to-date books and good materials, and the office supply part of it where you need copy paper and pencils and things. Those things cost money, and our state budget runs about 50% of the public school education budget, and the rest is split between city, county, and federal. So our state is really, really responsible for a lot of what children and young adults will learn. I believe it's important to have educated children, but I don't believe it's important to have quite so many tests. I know 8-year-olds who have made themselves sick over the tests. They don't show much. These tests don't show much. You can't get off of a test how a child's life is being impacted by their education. And for that matter, a lot of children are not good testers until they get a little older and get used to things like that. As far as healthcare, rural hospitals are closing or closing down necessary services. And I'm not trying to be all doom and gloom, but I feel like that's really important if you're having a baby or having a heart attack or just got into a car wreck. You don't need to be driving 100, 150 miles to get to the nearest hospital. We need our rural hospitals to be well funded and well staffed. And I would like a chance to look at the legislation surrounding those things. I would like to discuss the entire state budget, honestly, and that GPT is a thing a lot of people are talking about, the gross production tax. I do support the oil and gas industry. They are a huge industry in our state and employ a lot of people. However, the incentive, the gross production tax being down at 2%, is not comparable to any of our neighboring states that have natural resources like we have. And my starting point would say 7%. We need to shoot for 7. Thank you. Beyond that, I think we need to diversify our revenue stream. We need to invest in our future with Solar. The sun shines hot in Oklahoma a lot longer than a lot of other places that have oil. Solar energy is the future. Wind energy is the future. Even in our state song, where the wind comes sweeping down the plains. We need to make use of these sellable forms of energy. We need to be able to balance our state budget, which, by the way, is so far gone right now. And I know legislators are working on that right now. I've been watching the news, and I've been watching, Scott Inman and some of those on TV. I'm sure you guys have too. But as for right now, I don't feel like they've reached a conclusion where our state budget is going to get fixed when we have to fix it. And I honestly believe that I'm the person to take that on. So I would ask for your vote in the general special election, February 13th, 2018. And at this point, I can take questions.
Okay, Amber, so what do you think about them actually continuing to use the rainy day fund, which obviously is going to be depleted very soon?
I think that's a temporary fix for a permanent problem. You can't keep doing that. That's supposed to be a savings account. This is a rainy day, don't get me wrong. This is a very rainy day in our state's budget. But it should be used for not as an aid to get us through our state budget year to year or month to month or quarter to quarter. That should not be something that we rely upon.
Right.
Did I answer your question?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yes, Lenny?
I have two.
Okay.
They have been proposing through the news adding a sales tax to services like getting your dog groomed, getting a haircut, getting your nails done, any type of service. And I don't know the complete list. Do you see that as a viable option?
This one is pretty personal to me. I own a construction company in Woodward. Jensen Renovations is what I do. That's my whole life's work right now. And drywall and house construction is one of the things listed on there. And personally, I'm against it. And politically, I'm against it. I don't think that that is to tax people for things that they have to have, like haircuts. Why would you want to further tax people on things that are already inflated in price? Our economy is not at the point where I think that would be a viable option.
Well, I know when they brought this idea up like 6 weeks ago, it included funeral services.
Yes.
So they were going to tax you, basically your survivors after you pass, they're going to tax besides your estate. My other thing is educational related. We do have a prisoner camp here for low level. And as a former teacher, I see the flow of kids, even here in Alva, that seem like they're on probation. And they're on probation for like several years. And apparently when they're on probation, they can't vote or anything. And to me, it's even the prison pipeline between public schools and the prisons exists. How do you feel about legal reforms, like for kids that are drug offenders, to get them into a rehabilitation system instead of sending them into a prison camp?
That is a big topic for me also. Department of Corrections is underfunded and understaffed currently, but I feel like for-profit prisons create that pipeline, because our state will owe them money if we don't keep those prisons full. We are, the number one incarceration rate per capita for women in the world, and number 2 in the nation for general population. And for-profit prisons are wrong. If somebody does something wrong, okay, but to incentivize our communities to send these people to prison, which, by the way, does not usually end up in rehabilitation, because once you've been to prison, you can't ever have certain jobs again. A lot of people won't give you housing. A lot of people won't give you car loans. And the things that people would need to get rehabilitated cannot happen because they've been to prison. So this pipeline needs to change. We need to change that. And starting with for-profit prisons. We don't need to be paying to have people incarcerated.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.